Welcome to the 4th episode in our Commander Masterclass series. The intro is going to be a little bit different on this one. You ready to go with me, Reaper?
I'm ready.
Are you ready for the most amount of bullshit you have ever seen? This command is going to be slightly different because of his ludicrous stats. Just as an overview, Julien is a spear commander. His Crimson Spear ability deals nearly 20,000 damage to targets in a straight line. Okay, that's passable. However, if that wasn't bad enough, he also reduces his target's defense by nearly 10,000. 10,000 defense wiped out when he deals damage. And then, okay, now he already sounds a bit over the top. And then, if you time his ability correctly, his Warden of the Stoneway adds not only 9,000 attack, which doubles his base attack, but it also adds 900 to strategy. Now, the reason that's important is because Julien, as a base, has 900 to strategy. What this means is his Crimson Spear now does 40,000 damage. 40,000 damage to every person in a straight line, as well as reducing the target's defense by 20,000. They're dead. And then you're up against someone who has 18,000 base attack, who's just swinging his spear about. So what do we give him for the first 4 categories here, Reaper?
4 times 5.
We give him 5 points for Weirwood, 5 points for training grounds, 5 points for rebel leaders, 5 points for damage output, and 5 points for bullshit.
Okay, then it goes wrong really fast because he has no form of support. However, when it comes to crowd control, since he reduces the target's defense, if you are smart, for example in the Weirwood, you could use your bowman as a frontline, for example Sansa, to actually position the enemies just so everybody could potentially get hurt by 1 Crimson Spear, which pretty much ends the battle right there. For that reason we give him 2 points. Of course, those skills are a little bit over the top. Skills go to 5. Combat advancement, he gives infantry attack 30%, cavalry and spearman attack 30%. Problem is, people often run single troop formation or a duo troop formation, so you miss out a little bit on the attack of one specific troop. And since it's only attack, there are many commands who are a little bit better. For that reason, we give him 4 points in combat advancement. And city advancements, he does not have at all, so we skip that entirely as well. But then we come to friendship. He gives an overall quality of 10, and 4 of that goes to combat rate, 3 to command and 3 to finance, which is a very balanced, decent score. He also uses wine, which is not in overly high demand. We give him 3 points for friendship.
Captain Julien comes in with a bank-breaking 34 points. He does a little more than shove him with this pointy end. He obliterates any and all in his path. Reaper, can you explain to me the type of bullshit I'm looking at here?
That's Theon.
No, never mind.
Oh.
I'm going to do it for you. Because we have gone from one level of bullshit to another. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you, for your viewing pleasure, Theon Greyjoy. Now, once again, I'm just going to go over a couple of the skills for Theon, and then we can just fill in the entire stuff. Okay, not only does he have one of the highest base prowesses in the game, at over 2,000, he has a fairly decent command. Now, with his good with the bow, that should be bloody excellent with a bow, Theon expertly commands his bowman, sharing the enemy in arrows, dealing 8,000 damage to the target and increasing his own attack. So far, so good. His own attack by 7,500, that stacks up to 5 times. I'm sorry, what? That is 35,000 extra attack. You know, just have it. Just have that as the combat goes on. He also misses a step in the finger dance and lose your life. Every 7 attacks deal 6,000 extra damage, as if he'd needed more damage, and reduce the effects of heals on a target by 50%. So if he's shooting at you, you're gonna die. Quickly. Then we have What is Dead May Never Die. Now this is the completely absurd part, because you're gonna put him in the back row. He's not a frontline tank, which means he's going to survive. But every ally that dies, every one that dies, he gains 4,000 defense and 50 might. That means not only every ally dies, he gains defense, which can give him up to 20,000 defense if he's the last man standing. To put that into perspective, a tank normally only has 12,000 defense, Reaper. 12! Which means he has nearly triple a normal tank if he's the last one standing. He also gains 50 might, an extra 250 might over the course of the game, which is enough to give him another ability on Good with a Bow, which is enough to increase his attack by a further 7,500 because it stacks up to 5 times. Are you hearing me, Reaper?
Yeah,
You getting this?
Half decent commander.
Half. Okay, his last skill only has 150 prowess. I'll give you that. But this is another one which is Weirwood 5, Training Grounds 5, Rebel Leader 5, and damage output. Do you want to take a stab at which one this is, Reaper?
5.
Ah, yes. How did you guess?
I didn't have a 6. To keep up with the sanity, of course, he has no supportive skills, so that's gonna lose him 5 points. Crowd control, however, he does reduce the heals on a target by 50%, so if he pins someone down, there's no healer gonna save that target. For that we give him 1 point. His skills, of course, are absolutely obliterating, giving him 5 points in there. Since he does bring total attack, his bowman defense and health are absolutely useless, giving him 2 points in combat advancement. A very low 2 points, but 2 points nonetheless. And that also leaves him entirely out of city advancement. Now, as a free-to-play, you might have some trouble giving your meat to commanders who really excel in good stats. However, if you get Theon, you'll see that his stats are pretty high. He gives a 10 overall quality, 3 in combat rate and 4 in leadership and 3 in aptitude. This makes for a perfect commander to sink that meat in, leaving him with 4 points. At this point, Arya left the building and Theon and Julien are competing for the first place. 32 points, leaves him a bit under Julien, but absolutely a must-have.
And now we're going to have a quick look at the fiery figure of Melisandre. Clocking in at a very high 4 points for the Weirwood, this commander gets her abilities from her amazing damage, once properly targeted, and the ability to chain her attacks, which is unseen out of any other commander. However, without targeting, she becomes about as useful as a chocolate teapot, giving her only 1 point in the training grounds. This is seen as rebel leaders as well, as she's not a good damage dealer, and that's what you need there, for 1 point for the rebels. Using her skills, however, does bring her damage back up to par, so 3 points overall for damage. But the will of R'hllor must not be in your favour, because she does not help her allies at all, giving her 0 points in support.
She definitely could help her frontline friend a little bit by reducing the attack of the enemy, so that will give her 1 point in crowd control. Overall, her skills are fairly useful. They work the best if you match them with another high splash damage commander like Vice or Varys or even the Cersei, where you let them cast first and then she can clean the board, recovering her strategy entirely for another skill cast. Because it might not be really visible in the skills, but when you kill an enemy you regain some might as well. This works really well for her if you manage to chain them and make sure that at least some enemies die by her active skills, giving her 2 points in skills. Now, combat advancement is slightly disappointing. Bowman defense is useless, gets 0 points because you can't put them frontline. Bowman attack gets 1 point, leaving her combat advancement on 1 point. Building construction speed is actually increased by 30%, which is higher than all the other building construction speeds, which usually go to 20%. Since you also probably will buy her very early, this will give you 2 points, as you can benefit from the construction speed almost your entire time. Melisandre is my very highest with 56 levels, and that's because she uses jewelry. And normally you only unlock commanders with good stats that require jewelry pretty deep into the game. With an overall quality of 10, 2 on aptitude, 5 on finance and 3 on combat rate, she scores 3 in friendship. And overall the Red Witch has 18 points, which is pretty much the amount of innocent people she sacrifices on daily basis.
And now we have the smaller half of Clegane Bowl, a fan favourite and unfortunately a commander which is a bit weaker than I expected. Sandor Clegane has some limited use in the Weirwood and is a fairly high damage infantry dealer, but doesn't excel in any location, meaning we'll give him 2 points in the Weirwood. For training grounds, however, one of his abilities that reduces strategy can be a game changer and can shake up the entire battle. For the reason alone that there's no commander that can flip things on their head quite as quickly, we give him 3 points in the training grounds. Having a fairly decent defense and base attack means that he could be used as a very interesting infantry tank in the rebel leader formations. However, you also have Tyrion that also boosts everyone, giving you more damage overall, so he only picks up 2 points here. And despite his relatively high damage output as a base, a couple of his skills are wasted, and the skills that do damage just aren't that meaningful, so he's stuck at 2 points.
Unfortunately, he doesn't support any of his allies, so he gets 0 points there. Crowd control, however, he can reduce both defense and strategy, and that can be really vital on the right times, so we give him 2 points for crowd control. And for example, one of the ways it can be really vital is when we look at his skills, and we look at him in the training grounds, and we would position him against a Marjorie or a Simon. If he managed to reduce the strategy with the incredible high amount he can do, he will pretty much neutralize their heals and their shields. This is of course a game changer for the entire battle. For that reason we give him 2 points in skills. And that is also because all his other skills are wasted. His active skill is so incredibly low, and also the bonus attack from backstab is really small, as well as proc only when his health is higher. Now then, combat advancement, of course, he scores a mighty strong 5 points because he will give total defense, health and attack with 25% on gold. And while that's worth 5 points, his city advancements is of course 0.
Now Sandor does need weapons, the most sought after item in Friendship. However, you're still going to want to spend them on him because of his insane capabilities. He gives you 5 combat rate and 9 points, split in between leadership and command. With 14 overall, 5 of those in the combat, it's pretty clear we give him 5 points. Overall, this Sworn Sword brings in 23 points. A fairly low score for such a beloved character, but one understandable when you look at his wasted skills. And now we have the disappointing child of the Lannisters, and she's a fairly disappointing hero in all honesty. With a rather mediocre attack and defense stats, paired with skills that for some inexplicable reason try and buff already high strategy, she's not very useful in the Weirwood, doing a tiny bit of damage but taking up a slot that can be much better used, giving her 1 point there. The same can be said in the training ground, she's just not that good, 1 point for training. As for rebel leaders, her disappointment continues, as she doesn't even have a good counter against a specific troop type, being a bow hero, so we're going to give her 1 point as well. In all fairness though, however, she does have a sort of average base attack, and her skills that proc quite often can do a lot of damage over a certain area, making her useful in some locations. She does get 3 overall points for damage output. But just like the show, she is selfish to an extreme with no support skills, giving her 0 there.
And also her crowd control is non-existent, leaving her with 0 points. Overall her skills are rather unique and rather useless, and she has 2 skills that boost her strategy, meaning she does not have anything else to rely on, giving her only 1 point in skills. Her true power lies of course in her specializations. Her total health increase, total defense and total attack with 25% is absolutely enormous, leaving her with 5 points in combat advancement. Unfortunately, that leaves no room for city advancement for 0 points. She is one of the higher scoring commanders for Friendship. She has 14 overall points, 5 in aptitude, 4 in finance and 5 in leadership, which is not as good as the best commanders, but very, very decent, giving her 4 points in Friendship. That leaves her with 16 points. From Bravos we have the mesmerizing courtesan Jeane. When it comes to Weirwood, she does bring a lot of support, but overall you want to focus on either a solid stunlock formation or you want just a basic heal damage combination, so she falls a bit outside the box for most formations. For that reason we'll give her only 2 points in the Weirwood. When it comes to training ground, she might get her passive heal off, but overall she will not be much benefit, and many other more solid commanders with basic skill sets will have more benefit to you. So for that reason we give her only 1 point. Jeane's support excels when it comes to rebel leaders. You can easily put her frontline, causing her to cast a lot more skills, and since you only have damage output commanders, Her Mesmerite will boost that attack much more, as well provide some basic healing to keep everyone alive. For that reason, she is absolutely a must-have against rebel leaders for 5 points. From herself, she barely has any damage output, giving her 1 point only.
Where she does shine, however, is support. You'll be hard-pressed to find a better support commander. Not only does she increase attack for everybody in a round area, she can also heal fairly regularly, and she has 2 skills to that effect. Finally, her best skill, where she increases strategy to all allies, giving her 5 points here. She doesn't, however, have anything to debuff or stop the enemy, so her crowd control is sitting at a measly 0. Overall, her skills are wonderful to have, and we award her 4 points here. The only reason she doesn't get 5 is because of a slight limitation in some of them, and better alternatives are available.
Since Jeane only brings cavalry defense as combat advancements, we give her only 1 point. When it comes to city advancement, she comes with a very decent building construction speed and also grain production, which is overall not the most sought after, so we give her 2 points for that. When you are fully free to play, then jewelry can only go to Jeane, which would potentially bring her to 2 points. However, nearly all players, maybe even 99%, have at least some form of Melisandre or any of the other jewelry commanders. Since she only has 5 overall quality, of which 4 aptitude and 1 finance, we can only give her 1 point for this. Overall, this beautiful courtesan does have a very solid 22 points. Next up we have Fair Lady Sansa. And when it comes to Sansa, when you think about Weirwood, did you ever imagine any Weirwood without Sansa? Of course not, because she is the main healer. And later Simon came in, but she still holds the crown because nobody can have a Simon at gold or purple yet. For that reason, her Weirwood is definitely a 5. Unfortunately, that is where she shines. When it comes to training ground, personally never had a single instance where I used Sansa. You could have put her in front line and she might even proc a heal, hopefully before anyone dies, but that is not even guaranteed. So for training ground she gets a 1. Also with her low damage, you probably won't have any use for her at the rebel leaders as well, scoring another only 1. And also when it comes to damage output, it is really low. Her damage output is simply almost non-existent. She does damage and therefore she gets a 1 as well.
Okay, as for her support, well, support is in her middle name. It probably is her middle name, actually. Sansa Support Stark. But with a massive heal that targets everyone, an ability that adds defense to herself and another ally when someone gets killed, a secondary heal that also removes all debuffs, she gets 5 points here. Now that amazing set of skills unfortunately contains no crowd control elements, so it's a 0 there. But overall, we have to give her 4 points for her skills, due to the uniqueness of her situation being a healer, the fact that she can heal and she has multiple ways of doing so, and how useful she is in Weirwood situations.
When it comes to combat advancement, she gives bowman attack and bowman health. Since we physically can't put bowman in front, the health is absolutely useless. For that reason we give only 1 point in combat advancement. Her only city advancement skill is fortification durability, and that skill is utterly useless. For that reason we give 0 points to city advancement. Sansa makes a great friend, bringing an overall quality of 11 and 3 very unique leadership, which is really hard to get when you're free to play. Only Varys and Robb bring leadership to the table. Also, you have to split the desserts with Sheila, but other than that, she is a very solid 3.
All added up, the elder Stark sister comes in at 21 points. Next up, we have the Spider himself, the elusive Varys. Hailing from Essos before making a name for himself in Westeros, this commander is absolutely amazing for the Weirwood. His sniping ability with might, combined with a couple of other abilities, gives him 4 points on the Weirwood, as you can use him in an awful lot of formations. However, Varys is a very skill-based commander. You need to be able to control him to properly use him in a strategy. Without this control and with just AI oversight, his value falls off a lot, giving him only 1 point in the computer-controlled training grounds.
And that resonates as well for the rebel leaders. He gets only 1 point in the Rebel Leaders because he has no basic damage output. He does work decently in formations where you want to blow up the enemy entirely with Melisandre, maybe even a Cersei, and of course Vice. So we want to give him 2 for damage output. Since he doesn't offer any support to other commanders, only recovering might for himself, he gets 0 in support. When we are talking about crowd control, many people will directly think about stuns. Of course, Varys' form of crowd control is entirely different. Reducing might means he prevents enemy commanders from casting skills, which makes him incredibly valuable against stunners or healers. But also, reducing attack makes him really useful when putting him against an enemy commander that has a very, very high attack. For that reason, we give him 3 points in crowd control. Overall, his skills are incredibly unique and incredibly specialized. Becoming a specialist like Varys always is, gives him 3 points in his skills.
When it comes to combat advancement, despite only having 1 skill, Varys is fairly potent. Having a very high spearman attack bonus of 30% means that he's useful whether spears are on the front line or the back line. Compared with the scarcity of spearman commanders makes him useful and usable in nearly every one of your formations, giving him 2 points here. While of his other 2 skills, one is completely useless, the other is research speed of 25%. That alone is worth an easy 2 points. Varys' friendship is nothing to scoff at, and he will definitely be one of your best friends early game. With an overall standing of 11 points, 2 in leadership, 5 in aptitude, and 4 in finance, he's a fairly good commander. However, the lack of combat rate and the fact that he needs desserts, which is the second most needed item, puts him solidly with 3 points in this category.
Overall, a very well deserved 21 points total.
And thank you all for watching. On your screen you should have links to the corresponding director's cut for the video if you're interested in learning more, and also the next episode once it becomes available. Please remember to like and subscribe as it helps the channel grow and basically motivates us to make more. So thank you for watching again.